What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Yeah. I'm liking this.
Yeah, we got that
Nashville. Oh yeah.
Mr. Nashville. Little country. Little Tennessee. All right. Why don't you give everybody an introduction to old Mr. Dustin Black, Mr. Kinder?
Well, if you don't know who Dustin Black is, I don't think I've met anybody in our circle, like in real estate period, that doesn't know Dustin Black. So Dustin Black has been a longtime friend of ours here from Dallas, Texas, now in Nashville, Tennessee, killing it with Black Tie Moving. Moved me, moved Mike, moves everybody we know, and it was a great experience. Obviously, appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Just recently getting moved. It was awesome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You a G. For sure.
Appreciate you, man.
He's got the locking down the music empire too, man. You got your hand in a little bit of everything. That's what I like about you. Yeah. You know, you put the black tie stamp on everything that you do.
Yep. Got to make it sexy.
Well,
got to make it sexy, right?
Yep.
Moving ain't that sexy, but by God, we trying our best.
Right. Looking good.
Yeah, man. It's great, man. The moving companies obviously. Grown way, into something way bigger than I ever thought it would be. You guys knew me when I was running around here and renting trucks and moving people myself whenever I first started it, right? It's just blessed to have folks like you in my corner that trust us and believe in the brand and us as much as you do, and obviously help promote it and get the word out. So
heck yeah. What are you excited about right now?
I'm excited about being in Dallas with my boys, with my homies.
Yeah,
it's been a little while since we've all been together.
Yeah.
Create Nash has some big things going on right now. We just signed a big deal with a little company you might have heard of called iHeartMedia.
There you go.
So we are now their in-house production company. Video production company. So if you guys haven't heard of, you know what OTT is?
No.
So OTT is a form of advertising called over-the-top television. So basically what iHeart has done is, obviously terrestrial radio is kind of dying off, right? Not, people with the streaming apps, Spotify, Apple Music, and people can kind of be their own, DJ, right? Play the songs they want to hear without listening to commercials. So iHeart, whenever they kind of saw that terrestrial radio model dying, they switched over to streaming commercial space. Okay, so anytime that you get on, do you have cable? Or do you stream TV?
I got to do both.
So in Nashville, it's a pretty interesting stat. 73% of people in Nashville do not have cable.
You're kidding me.
No. So they stream their TV shows. So OTT is basically that 15 or 30-second commercial.
You
see in between, in between your shows. And it's forced play, right? Like now you can skip through a commercial on TV. We all,
it's the new commercial.
Yeah, it's the new commercial, right? So I had an interview with them. They brought me on as they have this segment called CEOs You Should Know. So they brought me into the studio and interviewed me, and I got a chance to meet their executive team. And they were like, man, we're moving their office was kind of a mess. And they're like, oh, sorry for the mess. I'm like, hey, I'm in the moving business. I get it. Believe me, you don't have to worry about me. I understand if anybody does. Right. And, they said, we're moving our digital department from LA to Nashville. So I was like, oh, wow. I was like, so what do they do? Right. And I started asking questions. And as they were pitching me, this advertising model of the OTT, I said, well, who creates those videos for you? And they said, well, right now we kind of leave it to that's like one of the kind of the sticking points, because we leave it up to the advertisers, right, to go find a creative agency in their market. A lot of those creative agencies also sell media, right? They're also media buyers. And so they kind of come in and try to, cut them out, make money. And she's like, we really haven't found, a partner that we, refer out to our advertisers, but now they're putting like 50% of the advertising dollars. So let's say, for example, like I spend about $10,000 a month in radio in Nashville, right? So they're taking half of our radio advertising budget and switching it to this OTT, right? And they're like, yeah, obviously we can record, videos we can record radio commercials. That's what we're great at. I mean, we're in the radio business, right? They're like, but we don't want to be in the video business. And I said, well, let's make a deal. Because I know.
You know what we call this? We call this black magic.
We call it the black magic.
Yeah.
So basically, we got a contract. We got a regional contract with them. So now we are making every video that you're going to see that goes through the iHeart channel. So it's basically every video except it's on every platform other than Netflix and YouTube. So even if you've ever been to a website and you got to watch a video, right? You kind of scroll down, all that kind of stuff. So, so now we got that contract, and we are the in-house production company for iHeart and all of their advertisers. So, we're going to be making about 1,000 15 and 30-second videos this year.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's an ambitious
at $25,000 a piece, which ain't bad. Right?
Not bad at all.
I was like, how many moves do I got to do to, right?
Yeah.
I was like, my goodness. So, but yeah, that's exciting, man. Gary LeVox and I bought 66% of that company back in March of last year. The company was doing like $5,000 a month. Now we're doing more like 80 a month before that contract. And that contract's going to probably add 8 figures in revenue for us. So we're super excited about that.
Man, that is exciting.
Yeah, man. It's crazy how, how things work, and be at the right place, at the right times, ask the right questions.
Yeah, it's the move of the game.
Yeah.
Yep,
You're always making moves, man. You need to have that like in the tagline,
Making moves.
Dustin Black, always making moves.
Yep. That's going to be the name of my podcast.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's right,
Making
man.
moves. I love it. That's my video. I'm an undercover video game nerd. All right. So, if I always have to be like competing in something, my mind does. So that's my gamer tag, making moves.
Making
Nice.
moves.
So if anybody's watching, they want to get whipped in some Madden or, Call of Duty, hey.
Is that really your name?
Yeah.
Making moves?
Look him up on Twitch.
Okay.
Moves. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Not that good. I have to spend, I think I probably spent $15,000 on don't let my wife know this, but she will. Dang. But I think I spent $15,000 on my ultimate team in Madden this year, just because I always had to have the best team because I got tired of the kids whooping my ass. So I always had to outbuy them, right? I always had to
build
the
by
best
our
team.
partner.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, you can't compete with me now. I got the best team on Madden. Paid $15,000 for it a year.
What a pivot on a business model. I mean, now you got these. I mean, you got these media companies or these video game companies that have just scaled beyond belief just because they flipped the model. They went to a platform.
Correct.
The game is now a platform.
Yep.
They don't make money selling video games out of the GameStop store.
Right.
They just created a platform, where they can get all the popularity, all the kids playing, and then get suckers like us that got the money. Like, hey, we're gonna have to compete here. To drop some commas on it.
Yeah. My wife's like, "Where are you yelling at in there?" I was like, "This 9-year-old little kid's talking crap to me over here, keeps whooping me." Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, man. So that obviously the expansion of Black Tie Movings is super exciting. We're opening Denver, Huntsville, Alabama, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, all that area up there. We got New Jersey coming on board in 2 months.
Who bought it in Jersey? I want to say I ran into who that.
Rob. He's one of the biggest Remax. I can't. Delinsky.
Dekansky.
Dekansky.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob, sorry, man.
Yeah.
I fumbled your name there, buddy.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
High pressure.
But yeah, he's a stud. He's buying our franchises up there, and we're growing it from a corporate perspective as well, man. I mean, we've been about a year in the franchise model, and I'm learning that sometimes it's almost easier to do it yourself. But
that sounds like a story.
Well, it's one of those things. It's people don't want to do it the hard way. Like that's just our human nature, right? They want to. It's like, well, you bought a blueprint, so you follow a blueprint, right? What they do is they get into the blueprint and they find out that it's not cheap or easy, right? Mm-hmm. So they want to start doing things their way, and that's you just can't you won't have the same results,
right.
you know, if you do. But then again, we've got other franchises that are absolutely, you know, crushing it. So it's exciting, man. Most all of them are, other than one, and I bought it back. I said, all right,
well, that's really the model. When we were looking with Peter,
yeah,
I think what he said was 30% of your franchisees won't. I mean, you're always going to have to replace those people. Yeah. I mean, and that's just, you know, you can give somebody a proven model, but that doesn't always translate into them being a good fit. Yeah,
and you know, I think that it has a lot to do with being present. Like the one that hasn't gone as you know anticipated. There were no present franchise. They all lived out of town.
Yeah.
Right? So they invested in a market that nobody lived in. It's really hard to own a business when you don't have ownership on the front lines.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Because it's just, you know, you got to put a lot of trust in a lot of people. Get stolen from. I mean, they were getting stolen from left and right, and yeah, it's just like, man, you know, you gotta have somebody there that you can trust and or you know, be there yourself.
Leadership on the ground. Is that movie The Founder? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
About McDonald's? Yeah, dude.
So
that was such a big get in seeing that the right person is what made it work, right? You have to have the right person.
Absolutely.
To make it work.
The operator.
The operator.
Yep. I love it.
Yes.
So how many franchises are you up to now?
I believe we have 34.
34, and how many corporate stores?
Well, 14 major markets. So the franchises are broken down in 500,000 population caps.
Right.
So, you know, and a lot of our owners are real estate brokers, obviously buying the business as an ancillary service to provide the customers that they already have and further, you know, monetize the leads that they're already paying for.
Right.
And it's, you know, just like a title business or a mortgage company. We've, you know, we've really kind of shown these big teams and brokerages that it's more profitable to be in the moving business than it is the title business. As a matter of fact, there's a lot less risk. So, you know, our gross or our net profit is, you know, we tried to get into the title business a couple of years ago, and you know, so I've dove deep into it, and I was like, wait a minute. I'll just go open more moving companies. There's more profit and obviously, you know, less risk.
Didn't you do like a mortgage company like Amarillo or something?
No, I had I started in the mortgage business, but with Countrywide Bank of America.
Yeah.
And then I broke out and opened my own net branch in 2010 in Dallas. Obviously, that's when I was hunting you fellers down for your business. And you know, we you know, I ended up as the president of Halo Group Mortgage, and then they sold off they wanted to focus on their asset management company. And at the same time, I opened up a venture capital firm and sat at home with my wife and my newborn baby for about 6 months, reading executive summaries, and I was bored to death. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna find something else to do at the same time. At the same time, we were moving. Actually, we were building our first house right around the corner here in Frisco, Newman Village, and Mike and Jay's neighborhood now. And we hired a moving company. I won't name any names, but we hired a moving company, and they came in and destroyed all of our furniture and you know, pulled up with 2 trucks and 6 guys, you know, beat up truck, dirty furniture pads. The guys look like they just, you know, crawled out of the federal penitentiary, like a bunch of, you know, like Post Malone and all of his cousins were moving me that day. But you know, it was one of those. It was just such a terrible experience. They broke over $30,000 in furniture and furnishings, and handed. About 90 days later, I got a check for a couple $100 to replace it all. And, you know, I grew up working for my father and his moving company since I was about 9 years old. So I paid for my first truck and took my, you know, girlfriends on dates on the weekends. And that was just my job on my weekend and my summer jobs since, you know, like 9 or 10 years old. And, you know, I guess it just kind of started with such a frustration from a consumer experience that I was like, man, there has got to be a better way, you know, to do this. And, you know, consumers, like for me, like I don't care how, you know, what your price is. If you come in and, you know, break $30,000 worth of my stuff, how expensive was that mover really? Right. And I feel like consumers, you know, number one, I mean, Amazon and, is paying $16.50 an hour, $17 an hour for these guys just to unload boxes from truck. You know what I mean? Like, 2-pound boxes from trucks, right? So imagine what it cost me today to find somebody that's willing to move furniture in 100-degree heat in the summer.
Up 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you can't go find cheap labor that is going to create, great results. You know what I mean? And I think from, as these rates rise over, all over the country in these markets like Dallas, Nashville, or the unemployment rate is, all-time low. So, I think when people are shopping for these services, they always want to, let me just find, the cheapest mover. Like, it's like we're all created equal. That's not the case, right? It's all about the people that we're putting into your home. I'll tell you a quick story that happened to us just a couple months ago. My wife bought a new bedroom suit at Restoration Hardware. This company comes in, I'll even say they're in Clark's White Glove Delivery, right? It was the company that Restoration Hardware hired to deliver our new bedroom suit. And we're going through, the 2 guys walk in, professional, dudes, nice guys. I watched them work. I was like, yeah, these guys are pretty good, right? And they're pretty good movers. So obviously I tried to recruit them. Right. I was like, hey, you want to make more money? I know a guy. Right. So I left them in my bedroom for probably, an hour and a half as they were putting together our new bedroom suit, and, around, $100,000 worth of jewelry, and, I don't know, maybe my wife's purses probably add up to that by now. But we just kind of let them do their thing or whatever. Well, at the end of the job, he's like, hey man, can I talk to you for a minute? And I was like, yeah. I was like, what's going on? Gave him my card. They were all on board to come work with us. He said, well, how are you guys on felonies? And I said, well, and I didn't want to tell the kid like, well, we don't hire felons. You're out of luck. Sorry. Right. And I said, well, it just kind of depends on, what it was for, how long ago it was. And I said, may I ask, what it was? He said, yeah, man, I just got out about 6 months ago for armed robbery. I swear on the Bible this happened, okay? And Restoration Hardware put this dude in my home, around my family, in my bedroom, around, all of our, most, valuable, items, right? And there was no way that he would ever tell a consumer or a customer that, right?
Right.
I was like, because I was recruiting him and because he saw an opportunity, he had to tell on himself. But he had never told on himself. But like, when you think about, the people that you're putting into your home on, even on moving day, it's one of the most stressful days of our lives as consumers. Man, like, it's unbelievable how people want to, save some money. This is not the time to want to save money, right? Okay, because what's going to happen is it's going to take those 3 guys, right? 10 hours to do a move that Black Tie could have done in 7, right? Now who's more expensive?
Right.
Just because my hourly rates might be $10 or $20 more an hour doesn't mean that the move's going to cost more. Right. Because my guys are stronger, faster, smarter. They're more experienced. They're all employees. They care. They have a a corporate ladder to climb. They have opportunity. This isn't just a job for them, right? And that's how we're able to recruit, the better guys, because we're not hiring for a job. We want these guys to make a career out of it, right? It's called Mover to Millionaire, and I've already made one, right? One of my first movers that I ever hired 7-8 years ago now owns 10% in a market that is obviously doing very well, and he's my owner operator. But it's that kind of opportunity that really motivates people. They say the younger generation is not they're not as money motivated as we think they are, right? They're more motivated by opportunity,
right?
And whenever you can create that opportunity in a career for somebody, like me, I don't have a college degree. I don't. I got hurt playing ball and had to find something else to go pro in, right?
Right.
But it's those things that I think make all the the world of difference. It's a lot easier for me to recruit them now, but in the beginning, it was hard. And that's why all these smaller moving companies, or even the larger ones that are out there just hiring day labor, and sending them into their customers' homes, it's a bad model. It's a recipe for disaster, right? Our guys are background checked, drug tested. They're all W-2 employees. We don't have a contractor that works for us because we want to control. We want to tell them what time they have to be there. Because the contractor can't tell them what time to be at work. Can't wear a uniform, right?
Right.
Can't has to bring his own tools and equipment, right? Are those going to be the best tools and equipment to move your own? No, right? Like, so you have to build the infrastructure around these guys, and you have to create structure, within the operation to set your clients up for a successful move. Right. And there's just so much that goes into it that, for us now, it's really getting that consumer to understand the value and benefits of, a black tie move as opposed to, the other guys. We're actually creating like a little video, a funny skit where I'm pulling in like Mookie Betts and Gary LeVox and a couple other country music artists, and it's kind of like an us versus them, like the black tie guys and like the other guys.
Right? Yeah, and
we're dressing them up like Gary's gonna wear like a wife beater and like he's gonna belly hanging out. He's gonna be all all rednecked out.
Yeah,
and so anyway, these guys. Obviously they're going to kind of play the other guys, right, and make it funny, and then obviously the black tie guys. But it's it's crazy how much it wasn't that hard to do it, 10 times.
Yeah.
Then it was harder, but it wasn't that hard to do it 100 times. But now we're doing it almost like 1,500, 2,000 times a month. We're creating successful moves and great experiences for people like they've never had before in this industry. So I'm excited about that, man. Just keep on doing more of that and obviously growing our brand and making our customers and real estate partners happy.
Let me ask you a question, and this just is unfortunately, not everybody. This is just my core belief. We'll publish this into our. We have a podcast called Get Money Now and a Facebook group, and a lot of the times when me and Jay first started, one day they put chains on our doors. Right, they locked our doors. Tell me about, has it always been, like right now, everything you touch is turning to gold.
It looks easy.
Does look that way.
Yeah,
it looks easy, but it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, but I'm talking about just I remember being somewhere with you when you kind of shared some story with me. And I was like, man, he's crazy. And I know you're crazy because I sat with you I played poker with you. So I know you're legitimately willing to place a. Here's the thing. You hit me with, this is interesting, and I don't know if you want to be put on the spot. You hit me with a verse from the Bible. What was it? What was that? I was trying to tell Jay.
I don't know. Might have hit you with a couple.
No, the one with the guy with the dollar.
Talking about, I was talking about the parable of the talents.
Have you heard of this?
No.
Listen to this, dude.
Basically what happens is, so there's a steward who gives, different pieces of money to a couple of servants, right? So there's 3 people. He gives like 5 to one guy, and then he gives 2 to another guy, and he gives 1 to another guy, right? Mm-hmm. And so the guy who had 5, he takes it out into the market, and he brings back 10. The guy who had 2, Brent takes it into the market. He doubled up 2 and brought back 2, right? And then so the guy who had 1, he said, "Master, man, I know you're a hard man. I didn't want to lose your money, so I hid it in the ground. So, because I knew that, hey, man, if I lost your money, there's going to be a problem." Yeah. And so he came back, and the master said, first of all, he said, "Good job," to all of the guys who doubled up, and he gave them more, right? Mm-hmm. And then the guy who hid his money in the ground, he said, first of all, he said, "You're a slothful and a wicked servant." And he said, and he took the 1 from him and he gave it to the guy who had 10, right? So there's the obligation that you have, to magnify your talents. There's an obligation that you have to take what you've been given and multiply it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. That's great. And I mean,
Well, just some people for me, when he told me, you know, there was a day, I say one of the biggest gifts that I had from Jay was investing in myself. I mean, I told him when he told the story, I was like, man, I feel like the guy with the dollar because, you know, I had a lot of talent, but it wasn't intuitive. It wasn't from where I came from. You know, you worked and then you held on to it.
Sure.
You know, and then, you know, I think you and Jay are more alike. And I don't know where those habits or how that was created, but you know, I remember the first day I remember you coming down to the Rockstar Suite. You remember that at the Hotel Zaza? You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. He comes to our suite. You remember what you came with?
No.
It was with a cart with bottle service. And he comes rolling into the Rockstar Suite. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. He was like, because we hit us up, we were on text, and he was like, where y'all? We're in Zaza, I'm the Rockstar. He was like, oh, I'm right around the corner, I'm coming. So he went to instead of just coming, you know, knocking on the door, hey, what's up? You know, most people would come, you know, empty-handed. Nah, he has like a cart. It almost looked, you might have had roses on there, bro. I'm not kidding you. But he comes into a shopping cart, has ice and mixers, and he was like, you know, he didn't come empty-handed, and that's the one thing about, you know, this guy. And truthfully, this guy, you know, from the day I met Jay, you know, if Jay had $10, then you both had $10. If Jay had $100, you both have $100. Yep. And I think that there's a level of abundancy in that scripture that he was sharing with me, that, you know, for you were always telling me, I'll be running, you know, I'll be on a long run, my phone will ring, and be like, I usually answer when Dustin, and I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, oh, I think I got it. And you could tell, like, just waking up. I was like, what did it do? What is it? I record them all. I got them all recorded. Every single one, don't I?
Yeah.
Don't I?
Yep.
I got them all recorded. And he's like, man.
Call those the black tapes.
Yeah, he's
They'll
like,
be released.
Yeah, he's
the black files.
He said,
Black files.
Yeah. He says, I think it's giving up.
Yep.
Giving up. You know, how you have to give to go up to the next level. And my point is that so many people, you know, I know for a fact, if I'm being truly authentic, the more money that I've invested, my life has been better because of the relationships, and those are from the investments of time. And most people don't think that. Most people think, you know, they think of their time as money versus the amount that they can give, knowing that the result of money is the score in that value. Yep. And so I feel like that's a core belief of yours, and kind of like the secret to your success.
Yeah. You know, and we talk about, you know, the giving up, you know, strategy and model. And I think that a lot of people are keeping score. Right. And if you I've just never done that. I've never kept score. I've always been a give first mentality. And I think, you know, and to answer your question earlier, it's always hard. I have a good poker face, Mike, right?
Okay.
Okay. And yeah, we you know, reality is that we all want to make it look easy, but it's really, really hard. Like my business where I'm at right now it's the toughest I've ever been. It's the toughest I've ever, you know, I mean, dude, I was freaking had tears running down my face driving to work the other day because there's a problem that I couldn't solve, and it pisses me off, right? When I can't solve a problem. And usually they're people problems, right? But now it's like, man, you know, you have to give, you know, you have to give willingly and without, you know, expecting things in return. But I think I grew up like that, right? Like I had a single mom that worked 3 jobs. My friends were my family, right? I was the kid that was like using my buddy's address and saying that I lived with him so I could get into a better school, right? So, you know, my friends all gave to me at a very young age, and I had nothing. And right now, you know, it doesn't, like, to me, I could lose it all tomorrow and go make it back, and I don't worry about that because I've had nothing, right? Like I've been there, and I'm not scared of it, right? I'm not scared. I know I won't go back, right? But I'm not scared of it either. And I think a lot of people are scared, so they kind of hoard their time, and they hoard their money, and they don't use it to give to other people. I create experiences for people. I'm an experience creator. Okay, it doesn't matter where you're at, what we're doing. If you're with me, I'm trying to create an experience for Mike Reese or for Jay Kinder or for Woods. If you're coming to Nashville or if we're going to Vegas, or that's what I'm thinking about, right? How am I going to create the ultimate experience for these guys? Because I love them and I value their relationship, and I want them to know that, and I want them to feel that, right? And I want them to see that I'm going out of my way to, to do something kind for them, to create an experience for them, because that's what attracts people. Okay. That's what makes that's what creates a relationship magnet, right? Because, it's rare, right?
Right.
Sure.
So, I think that, and the same thing I try to do in my businesses, right? I create experiences for people, right? Doesn't matter if we're making, country music videos, or moving somebody's home, right? Like, we're creating experience for them. We create experience for real estate relationships, just like this affiliate partnership that I'm in town in Dallas launching right now. It's, I think that, you only get what you give, man, and I think that, it's one of those things that for me, I love to see other people. It would be no fun if I was just doing it by myself, right? It wouldn't be fun. So I think that, when I talk about, I got an offer to buy my business last week, and I was, heck, dude, it's been a hard couple weeks in my business. Okay.
We believe you.
And we're growing at light speed right now. And, you have to develop people. And sometimes I feel like I'm trying to teach a bunch of dogs how to talk. Right. And
can't do that.
Yeah. Right. So, but that's how I feel. So it's just it was so frustrating for me. And, you can't teach passion. You either have it or you don't. You can't teach, hard work or work ethic. You either have it or you don't, right? People either have a growth mindset or they just want to stay the same. And those people that want to stay the same drive me crazy. Drive me nuts.
Literally. Me too, dude.
You know what I mean?
That's my
number.
That's
one.
my trigger.
Yeah, it's my trigger too.
Yeah, my trigger. I told
number one trigger.
Yeah,
yeah.
I wish I could tell you the story because I felt so bad.
Yeah, because I don't comprehend that mindset.
Right.
Like it does not make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like I look at my little brother and he's 20. I'll pick on him for a minute. He's 23 years old. Right. This dude has got a path paved to be the CEO of, a $20 million company, which will hopefully be a $100 million company in, 10 years. Right.
Right.
I mean, he's got the path paved. And, when I see him, I'll walk by his office and he's over there on his phone I'm like, dude, you're never going to get ahead of the next guy if you're taking breaks. Right. You can't stop and take breaks. Right. Like that's not how you win a race.
What would you do if he was at the office every morning at 3:50? How many days in a row would he have to be there for you to one day say, dude, he's the man?
I mean, it'd be a lot. That
3:50 a.m. Yeah. Last one to leave.
He wouldn't do it.
But if he
might
did,
stay until 3:50 a.m.
No, if he was, no, I'm just saying. But what if he did? What if he did?
I mean, it'd blow my mind.
Yeah,
but and he's got, but it's one of those things that I think that we had a impoverished childhood, I would say, right? And that's what created that hunger for us, I believe. But so it's like a fine line that I walk with him. Like, do I make it? I want him to live a better life than I do, just like my kids, right? He's 14 years younger than me. He's like the son I never have or will have, right?
Right.
And he's, so I want him to have a better life, and I want him to, have an easier path to success. But at the same time, I'm like, man, but if he doesn't go through the hard shit, is he going to get there? You know what I mean? Now, I don't know the answer to that question. You know what I mean? And so I bust his, what?
But what about
constantly.
With your daughters? Same thing, same question. Because I would like to know the answer to this.
Dude, they're my boss. That's the only boss I got. Everybody says, oh yeah, your wife's the boss. No, my 6 and 8 year old daughters are my bosses because they're the one person on this earth, the two people on this earth that I can't say no to, right? And we were I was just talking about this the other day. It was funny when I got that offer for the business. I mean, dude, I had to think about it. You know, that was the morning I started tears from running my face. There was a song that came on. My dad just passed away back in October, and there was I pushed shuffle on my playlist. And I was literally thinking about what would he do or what would he say right now? We have to be careful because I might cry right now. But anyway, he said, and it was storm and rain, dude, and I was frustrated with, just work and some people and employees just that weren't, getting the job done, weren't following the process and the systems and the blueprints, right? And I was like, you know what? Shit, maybe it's time I just throw in the towel, right? Hell, I'll go make $15-20 million and retire at 37, right? And go make music, go write songs for the rest of my life, right? I would never retire because I would go nuts, but
right?
I would go do something I'm super passionate about, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm passionate about moving people, but let's be honest, there's only so much passion that you can have for moving furniture, right? You know what I mean? Like, nobody ever grew up and said, when I grow up, one day I want to grow up and be a professional mover.
What would your dad have said?
But so I click, it's thunderstorms, it's raining like crazy, and I'm and I start, thinking about him. It's kind of, I was so frustrated, dude. I just had, tears running down my face, and I pressed shuffle on my playlist, and an old Gary Allen song, and it was 421 songs in this playlist. Okay, I just pressed shuffle and turned the radio up, right? And this old Gary Allen song came on every it's like every storm runs out of rain or something like that. It was a song that we used to sing back in the day. Like, my dad was a country artist for a while. My granddad was. But when my dad would come pick me up in Fort Smith, Arkansas, every other weekend he'd drive 6 hours to Fort Smith to come get me on Friday, pick me up right after school, and on Sunday he'd turn around and take me back, right?
I know someone that did that.
And all we would do is literally sit there and we'd sing country music the whole way there, whole way back, right? So I just kind of looked up and I was like, you're right. Like, this is going to pass too. Like, keep going. This is where everybody quits. And that's what he would have said. He said, get your ass up. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. These blessings, you asked for this plate to be full, right? You're the one that put it on your plate. You know what I mean? When it's time to eat, you got to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I did. And I mean, I'd have been in a bad mood, and I was just like, this ain't really a problem. It's a blessing, right? And when you look at your problems as blessings and as learning experiences, I think that, that's that extra like 10%, right? That's what pushes you over the edge. Because I know, and I mean, me and JC, my COO, were talking about, I was like, man, that would be a good time to quit. You know what I mean? Right. That would be a good time to quit. We can cash in and make some big money and heck, go do the things that we love most, and spend our time with the people that we love the most, right? And that's the difference, right? Like, I'm building a legacy. I've been working in the moving business. My dad wanted to build the biggest moving company in the world since I was a little boy, right? So now I got to carry that legacy on. You know what I mean? And if there's one thing that my dad would never have done, it was quit. The guy died 7 times before he died the final time, back in October. 7 times. Came back, kept on bringing him back. The doctors came to me and they said, when do you want to keep on trying, like, bringing him back? I said, hell yeah. I want to. I was like, we ain't going to quit until there's zero chance. Because that's what he would have done. And I know he wouldn't quit either, right? And, it's just, it made me madder than hell too. I was like, well, yeah, let's just quit and pull the plug. No, dude, like, keep going. We're going to do this as many times as it takes to get him back, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately we lost him, but that's the mindset that he had,
yeah.
Right? And, that's the mindset that we have to obtain and obviously keep, even, through the hard times, because there's going to be a lot of times you want to quit, a lot of them, right? And there's a lot of times that I've wanted to quit.
And it's never at the bottom of the mountain.
No, absolutely not.
It's always when you're on your way up to the top.
Right? Yep. It's almost at the peak.
Right there.
Just that little more, just a little bit more. Just keep going, right? So it's you know, that's one of those. And you know, I think just giving to people, you know, working your ass off and doing everything you can to give to those around you and make their lives better and enrich and enhance their, you know, lives and relationships. You know, I always say that, you know, there's 3 things that I think you need to be successful. And I call it the 3 S's in success. Okay.
The 3 S's in success.
Yes.
I love that.
All right.
I like how you stopped on that though. It's just like, that sounded like you remembered, like you were looking at a PowerPoint when you did that. Was that for, you got that in presentation?
Nope. Not yet. Nope.
Damn. All right.
Right up here, baby. Right up here. Right. So I believe that you have to have 3 things to be incredibly successful. Okay.
All right.
You have to be able to sell yourself and those around you. Okay.
Check.
Not just selling yourself. Right. It's selling. That's how you build the network. You know, you guys know that my big thing is relationships. Like that's the most valuable thing that I have are my relationships, not, you know, tens of millions of dollars, not a house, not cars, you know, obviously my family, but you know, my friends and my business partners are like family. I treat them like family. Right. Mm-hmm. So you got to be able to sell yourself and understand your relationships well, and the people behind them well enough to sell them to. Right.
Right.
You have to be able to serve, obviously, your relationships and serve, you know, at the highest level, serve selflessly, right? You know, not just serve when there's something in it for you, but you got to serve, you know, selflessly at all times. And then the last one is to solve. You got to be able to solve problems quickly and efficiently. And, you know, it don't matter how good you are at solving problems if it takes you a year to do it. Right. Execution is king. Right. Like if it's just solving, you know, idea, it's taking me forever to do it. I always tell my guys, I'm like, listen, if you don't know the answer within 5 minutes of thinking about it, please raise your hand and ask somebody, ask me, text me, ask me a question. Right. Because I don't want you spending all this time trying to, you know, solve a problem because it creates inefficiencies, right? So, you know, I think it's obviously the ability to sell yourself and those around you, to be able to solve problems quickly and efficiently, and obviously to serve, you know, the people around you. You know, you got to have that servant mentality. Serving is the new selling in my mind.
I love that.
So when we going to Nashville, bro?
Man, let's go. When are you gonna come up and write a song? I know you guys can write some.
Well, I want to
to
know a little bit on the music side of the business, man. I mean, you know, like that's a whole nother side that you've got going on.
Yeah.
You know, so tell us what's going on, what's new on the entertainment business.
Well, we have, as you guys probably have heard, the Rascal Flatts just announced their farewell tour this year.
Saw that, yep.
So, I
saw a Dallas date on there too.
There is a Dallas date. You guys are coming with me.
All
backstage. Right. I got some backstage passes for you.
That sounded like a good time.
It's a great time. So, Mr. Gary LaVox, my business partner in all of my Ohio locations and my Nashville location, him and I got some stuff. We got some hits we're working on right now, and in a publishing company, a record label, that y'all are going to be the first one. I might get in trouble for saying this on a live, but
really,
huh? Yeah, we haven't announced that to anybody, but we're working on that. We're looking at we're scouting some artists right now and scouting talent. Obviously, to create Nashside, you know that's. Started out as just a full-blown video production company for country music.
That's the name
artists.
of it?
Create Nash.
Oh, okay. I thought you said the name. I like that other name.
Which one?
I thought you said the name of the business was called Nashside.
Nashside. No.
That's a cool name.
Nashside?
Nashside? That's what I thought you called it. I was like, man,
it's a cool
that's
name for
cool.
a gang or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The
Nashville
like
gang? No.
Nashside.
But and man, I'm you know, my spare time when I'm out hanging out with my fam clan and I'm writing songs. I've just I've developed a huge passion for just the art, man. I mean, it's so awesome it's just telling stories. I mean, we do it every day, and most people are like, man, it's gonna be, how did you learn how to write? It's like, you could write a song right now. We could literally sit here and write a song. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. It's just telling a story with a hook, and obviously, that's it, really.
How much has being in Nashville impacted you, and just, being around that scene? Mm-hmm. There's something that's unique about Nashville. I love the city because that city has a soul, and there's like being there with you and being in that scene, going to the different spots, seeing the local talent, seeing people that are grinding, trying to make it, artists, you know what I'm saying, that are hustling, trying to make it, trying to get discovered, right? Like that process is fascinating. You educated me a lot on that, which was really fun. But but being in that environment, there's something about that it makes the grind that we all face as entrepreneurs that kind of happens behind the scenes.
Sure.
It really brings it into the forefront because you see these guys, they're performers, right?
Sure.
So that is their grind.
Sure.
But you see them on that hustle, and you can feel that hunger.
Absolutely.
You can feel that drive. You know what I mean? It's fun.
What do you and why? Why do you think they have that level? Just like, man, those guys that are playing for 12 hours a day on Broadway, right? For tips.
Right.
They're not guaranteed a dime, right? But it's the passion.
The passion, dude.
Right?
The love.
So if that's the dream, right?
Right.
And there's a whole lot of folks out there chasing it, and I've watched, guys like, Morgan Wallen. Hell, I got that guy's first truck. You know what I mean? His first truck endorsement. We've been friends since about 2015, before he was anybody. Now you see, now he's blowing up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Same with like a Dylan Schneider and all these young kids. It's really cool to
Kane Brown.
Yep. Kane. He blew up a little bit before I got to Nashville, but he's blown up even more, since. But it's just cool. It's just such a creative city. You know what I mean? Like from the songwriters. You know what you make writing a number one song?
How much?
$1 million.
We can work on
that. How many streams do we got to hit $1 million? What's
it's not really the streams. It's the radio. It's the radio spins is what they call it. So it's and basically you can buy a number one song for about $500,000 if you know the right people. It's which is kind of it's the business behind it is just as fascinating as like the art itself. You know what I mean? And some of the business people behind it, right? That are the behind the scenes guys that nobody ever knows. But, I always say, what's cooler than the superstar?
What's that?
The guy that's making them.
The producer.
Right?
Right.
The producer of superstars.
Yes, sir.
The guy that's picking them.
We talk about like, so there's a great documentary called, I think it's The Defiant Ones, where it talks about like all the rappers that came up, like Dr. Dre and stuff, but the real fascinating story behind him is Jimmy Iovine, who is just a mastermind.
Unreal.
He's behind the Beats deal. He was behind revolutionizing music along with Steve Jobs with the relationships of iTunes, taking everything digital.
It's unreal.
But a lot of people don't even know who he is, right?
Yeah, you're right.
But the people in the business know who he is. They know that he's the real hit maker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're exactly right. There's a lot of them, in Nashville that, just incredibly brilliant people. And, they're the ones that hear a song and say, yep, that's a hit. Right. And, think about the consumption that they've, the consumption of music that they've had to, take on in order to get there.
Yeah,
right?
and the mental models that they have. It's just like you said. You were so authentic when you looked over and you said we can write a hit song right now, because I know the mental models. I know the format that we got to have. I know how we have to bridge to the hook and the type of the hook we got to have and all of that. Right. I know you have that understanding. I've seen it and I've heard it.
Yep.
So
Yep. On stage at Tootsie's a couple times, maybe even after a couple whiskey Cokes maybe, but yeah, you know, and it's funny. It's the same model. Like, you know, there's obviously a recipe to success, just like that. You know, just like writing a song or you know, making the music or creating a business, right? Like I know that you guys know how to, I mean, I know that this is an awesome studio, right? Like when you guys do it, you do it big, and you know, and because you're constant learners, you're always studying people, processes, and systems, always, right? So, you know, and I mean, that's why I always, you know, bounced ideas off you guys, because I was like, well, I know if I don't know something, I know a guy that knows, right? I know a guy that knows, and that's really kind of, you know, how you gotta look at it. Same thing hearing a song, right? I might write a song and be like, man, this is a hit, right? Yeah. And then, you know, I send it to Gary, and he's like, man, that shit sucks. Yeah. And I'm like, well, thanks, man. Thanks for taking it easy on my feelings over here. But, you know, sometimes we need to hear that our shit sucks.
Oh, dude, that's a whole topic.
I mean, my God.
That's what I struggle with. That's my biggest struggle, because that's where I start. Mm-hmm. One day I was running down the road with Woods. It was in the middle of the night. It was when we were still at Launchpad City. And I was living at the older house, and we were going 6 miles. And I just remember when we made the loop, we were coming back down the road, and I was like, dude, you probably hate running with me, because all I do is talk about where we're dropping balls, where we're short. I mean, the whole run is like, dude, we're not doing this. We're not doing, I mean, there's not one talk about anything positive. And I even told him maybe about 3 weeks ago, I think I told you first. I was like, dude, we were driving, we hit the light, and I was like, dude, I'm about to try to settle down a little bit. I'm going to try to throttle it back. And then I told you the same day that I told him. And have I made a little change?
Yeah, for sure.
A little change.
That's so funny, dude, because JC, my COO, like my right-hand man, would say the same thing about it. I'm like, man, now I know why you don't hang out with me after work, right? Because, you know, I talk about all the inefficiencies and the things people aren't doing, and I think, like, for the visionaries, for like the creators, and it's like I've trained myself to identify the cracks, right? That where things are going to fall through, right? They just are, and you know, I think that a lot of people, you know, they fail because they can't identify the cracks. They don't know where their business is leaking, right? And but yeah, you know, it's funny. The same thing with me. I'm the same way. JC's probably laughing his ass off in his truck.
We all suffer
driving
from
back from a dance.
Productive paranoia. That's what it is, man. It's just, you can't. We're wired. It's hard to work for us. Like,
oh yeah,
you got to be a special cat to be able to ride shotgun.
Yeah,
understand? Like,
there's
no when we see something that's inefficient, it's got to be fixed.
Yep. You know, perfectionist almost.
Well, there's no ego.
Right.
You can't have ego and operate from that standpoint.
You're right.
Because when you have ego, then you take it personal.
Right.
If you take it personal, then you get offended, and then you know, it shuts you down. Yep. Versus being able to see it as like, oh, that's right, man. Let's hit that.
You know what my nickname is?
What's that
in the office? Tropic Thunder. Yeah, Les Grossman. You ever? You seen that? The guy was like, yeah, you know, that's what they call me. And it's like, but here's the deal. Like, I don't because it's not that I'm like a mean person. I'm just incredibly passionate,
relentless
about what we do, who we serve, and how we serve them, right? And when I see people, like we talked about earlier, like just not care, and nobody's ever going to care as much as I do about my company, right? But you know, it's almost like somebody slapping your baby in the face. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's like I'm the driver, but I will always say that, you know, whenever I'm coming down on somebody, say, hey, listen, first of all, I'm sorry. This is my fault more than it is yours, right? Because you work for me, and at the end of the day, everybody's job is my job, right? And if they're not doing it the right way, or if they're making mistakes, it was my job to coach them or train them better so that they wouldn't. Or it's my job to fire their ass and get them out of there because they ain't the right person, right? But, you know, when people are continually, you know, making mistakes or it's just, you know, I take the most, you know, accountability, you know, for those. And I'm always looking in the mirror, what could, instead of saying, man, Mike came in today, you know, like, we'll use sales as one of my frustrations. So if you called Black Tie Moving and I said, thank you for calling Black Tie Moving. This is Dustin. What can I do for you today? And you said, hey man, I'm looking to move my house. I'm gonna pack up all my stuff. I said, okay, hold on a second. Let me get you some stuff. I was like, listen, nobody's gonna get excited about something that you ain't excited about, right? Like, so stuff like that'll drive me nuts, right? Just like my salespeople, because I'm like the sales mindset. So I'll come up. I mean, I just hired a sales manager like a year ago because I couldn't let it go, because I knew that like I wasn't going to be able to find somebody or willing to pay somebody the right. I could find somebody. I just didn't want to pay them. I didn't want to pay the $500,000,
right.
you know, a year. So it was like, you know, you do it yourself, and it's but you know. These guys just, some people just don't have the drive and the passion to be great, right? Some people are just comfortable as all get out. And that's all they'll ever be. They just want to take it easy, right? Now, you know, I always tell them, like, listen, if you want to take it easy, you are in the wrong building with the wrong people, right? Because we don't take it easy around here, right? Like, we're excited about what we sell. We're excited about who we serve. We're very passionate about what we do, right? And, you know, sometimes it's hard to get people fired up about moving furniture, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm like, hey, is this the most money you've ever made in your life? Yep, it is, isn't it? In yourself? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, get fired up about that. Right. My God, it don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, get fired up about getting better and being great. Get better every day. Yeah. You know, learn, study, listen to your calls. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's so hard to find that passion. I mean, if I was selling like, you know, yachts or something, I'd probably find a lot of passionate, or airplanes or Lamborghinis, or I'd find a lot of passionate people around that. But, you know, it's hard to get people fired up. And I think that, you know, we have to be that way in who we are and have that high drive. And, you know, I got to go Tropic Thunder every once in a while, just so, you know, my people, I'm like, well, if you ain't going to get fired up, I'm going to light that fire right under your britches, boy. And, but, you know, it's, you know, man, I think it's some people got it and some people don't, you know what I mean? That desire. And, you know,
we made one of our core values at NAEA, get shit done.
Yep.
And it became a filter in the office. I mean, people, like Crystal used to have, she had a little thing cut out on her desk that said, get shit done. But like when you got a bunch of people that work their ass off, the fastest way to get rid of somebody that doesn't work hard is to put them in that environment. Because they stick out like a sore thumb. I mean, when everybody, and it's the same thing with the real estate team, man. And when you have a bunch of people hitting the phones and making calls, and then you got one lazy ass agent, man, they stick out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you got to have like those core values around like what's the behavior? What is the environment that you're entering when you come work here?
Yep.
And
you know what else I hate? Hate problem talkers. You know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
People just sit around and talk about the problem. You know what I mean? Like, and then they'll have ideas and suggestions on how to fix it, but then they never happen, right? They want to just sit around and talk about it and not execute. And I think that's one thing that
I feel my heart rate going up.
Me too.
This whole time. Yeah, since you started talking, I was like, I really was feeling, and I've had like 5 stories that I watched this thing that they said there's a transmitter, and you have to be really good at not saying everything you think. And I was like, well, maybe I was like 3 things that came through. I was like, can I tell that story?
Bro, you could do it. That's why we have this podcast, that's right? I mean, that's the value, is getting the unfiltered, getting it raw, bro.
Yep.
You can lay it down. You can lay it down.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can lay that down.
Oh man, they're on Facebook right now.
Yeah,
come on, let's hit it. We're getting thumbs down now. Right. We're getting boos on.
Well, I mean, there was. So one of the things. So I'll say the last thing, and it's profanity, but it's you know, a lot of people, I've wanted to say this for a long time, and I don't know how to say it in a nice way, and I think it's probably not the right way to say it. But so I'm not going to say the word because I don't want to use that word. but I think a lot of people are the P word.
I was just about to call you that, actually.
Yeah.
I literally was on the tip of my tongue.
It's funny you bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, it's just, Donald Trump, he used that word in a way that I don't want to be too classified, but I'm just saying, to be honest with you, so I meet these people in Canada and they, and we're talking about some stuff and he'll tell you, he was like, I'm being a pussy, and sometimes, in the book, The Advantage, there's a great chapter in accountability, and to be accountable, there's a bunch of stuff, dude, that I could bring up, and I think it would be warranted, but to be accountable. So to be accountable is to stand in front of somebody and be okay with what they tell you back.
Absolutely. Those are the best friends in the world.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah. And so you can tell them, and then they tell you back. And these were my 3 things that I had, which was learn, strategy, decision, and action, which were a goal. But I had accountability. One of my things that was important to me that I was brainstorming on this morning. But I think there's 2 things. I'll share one just for the just because I'm a light of dynamite. You all ready? Can I got permission?
Do I
know how to do it?
I know he knows. I'm just worried if it's coming my way or not. I'm starting to wonder.
It is coming your way.
Here we go.
It's coming his way.
This was gonna happen.
No, this is good though. This is good. So I'm gonna tell y'all some truth. So about 3 years ago, I was in Vegas, and I don't know, what would y'all say? About 20,000 on the table, maybe 10,000 a hand.
Yep.
Y'all remember?
It was getting up there.
And so you were probably up 85,000. Mm-hmm. You were up 25.
Probably, yeah.
I think that's the last time I won in Vegas. As a matter of fact.
I got most of that back, I think.
I paid the light bill to Cosmo a couple months. I promise you that.
I just remember there was about 100,000 on the table, and it was probably 4 or 5, 6 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And George Bush was in town, and so, and so I had to. It was, and I had told my father-in-law that I was going to go see George Bush. And 6, I went up to my room. I'll never forget. I walked in the room, and Jay, you texted me like, "We're going to go down by the pool." Right. And we've been, it wasn't really that bad of a night.
No.
I mean, we were still able to count our money and,
Right.
And so I think you put all your chips in the safe.
I felt like I robbed them.
You did. but here, dude, just listen to this. Just check this. And I'm going to be accountable, but I want to, so what happened was, we go back to the room and then I get my stuff and I'm like, man, I know my father-in-law is going to ask me if I went and met Bush, because I was a speaker at the event and I got an opportunity to meet him. So I don't even know how I got over there, but I got over there and I got behind, because I got there so early. Secret Service set up in front of me. So I was behind there, and with what I was wearing and the way that I was dressed, and no one said nothing to me. They didn't know who I was with. And so literally there's a door, and like Damon John is sitting at the table. He comes, and there's a door with two of the Secret Service people, and they won't let nobody back. So I realized real soon, and then I fall asleep, right? And then they wake me up, right? And they're like, and then I tell them, oh, I'm here, and then they were like, okay, well, you can stay here. Well, Bush comes out on stage and he opens up with the story about not drinking. And so I'm listening to the story, and it wasn't anything. It was like, Barbara Bush, one day came up to me and she said, George, you remember he gave us that book, Decision? There was a book, I read it to my son. It was called,
Decision Points or
Decision
something?
Points,
yeah.
And the whole freaking book starts out with the same story. If you read the book, it's the same story he's told from stage. And he tells the story about him being in Denver one day, and he was buying drinks, and he was going up to people, and it was like Christmas. And he was like, looking back, I was just, I guess he was known for having a lot of fun and being wild. Yeah. And he tells the story about the decision point to quit drinking. And so, it wasn't, I told you this story. Did I tell you this story today? Or was that you? Yeah. I was telling him this story today. And, it wasn't that, I had never, we had met, remember Harold Ware, and we both stopped drinking for 1 year.
Right.
And it was like 360, like the day after a year, I drank. Right. Yeah. But like up until that day, I like drank Pellegrino water, did not drink anything. And then it was like 1 year's up. It was like literally up. 1 year, open it up, right? So this next time, they got me for 2 years. I don't know what you did to me in Vegas, but
I think you stopped every time you stopped drinking. It was after a night hanging out with me. Either in Nashville or Vegas,
right?
But the thing is they weren't bad nights.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
we had a great time.
Yeah, it was an amazing time.
Yeah,
I mean, great experience.
Yeah,
and and so I come back and I'm like, man, I'm gonna quit drinking. And I remembered one thing that I remembered when I quit drinking. I swear to you, dude, I remembered one day just feeling like an amazing, until like you run and you push yourself, you and like really exerted yourself. You don't know. So then where it comes at him is we're in Mexico last week. And we come home 3 days early. I don't think anything got out of hand. I mean, the first night was probably a little rough. We got there early. We downshifted quickly and, cruised across. I mean, we were good.
They hit us with that all-inclusive, man. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Get you.
Yeah.
Also, that absolute vodka, you know what I mean? That'll get you too.
Yeah. And so I was sitting there at the airport, and I bought this book by a guy named Alan Carr. Alan Carr now, I had told you about the book already, and I'd heard about it on a Joe Rogan podcast. And there was a story where Joe was interviewing this girl. It was 17 minutes. I'm in the bathtub. I'm watching it. And this girl, comedian, she quits drinking first of all, she read the book on how to quit smoking. She reads the whole book in 4 hours. She reads the whole book and never smokes again in her life. This is a really cute girl. And he tells her in chapter 1, read the book, smoke while you read every chapter, smoke every page. And I didn't realize because I didn't read the book. And I told you about it. I think I told you about it. I was like, what the hell could be in a book? Well, she gives it to her mom who smoked for 32 years. She reads the book and quits smoking. So I'm in the bath and she says, and so Joe's, I'll send you the podcast. So Joe says, so how'd you quit drinking? She's like, he had a book on drinking. So I go to the website and dude, all these celebrities are on there. And I mean, is it a good website?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like when we look at websites like to model them.
Yeah.
So when I checked out their website, I mean like the flow, it was just well put together. I mean, it was a 10. So I look at the website and I'm like, you know what, shit, me and him are sitting at the airport. I was like, I'm going to listen to the book. So I listened to the first book and I went to tell him just one story, which had nothing to do with, I was just going to tell him a story about a lock in a jail that they had just said, which had nothing to do with quitting drinking. And before I could even get the story out, Jay says to me, he was like, well, I don't feel like I'm in prison.
Let's stop this noise right now.
Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I tell him I'm buying the book. I'm 10 minutes in, and I promise you, dude, I'm only reading the book because I'm doing marketing, and there's a true thing that I was working on. And I said, man, the book has to have mindset. And it has a little to do with what's on the board over here. So I'm trying to decode these. Now, what I learned from this book, is the book amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
I'm reading it.
He doesn't,
I haven't drank for like 16 years, and I'm gonna have my daughter, who's never even touched a drop of alcohol, read it. I mean, it's powerful.
It's dude, you cannot I'm telling you, I dare you to read it. I double dog dare you to read the book. Not because I'm saying to stop drinking. I drink.
Dare accepted.
Yeah.
Drink. Me and Jay are going to hide the book. We're hiding the book.
But I'm not saying it to inspire somebody. Yeah. I'm saying it to
principles. The principles.
That's it, dude. The principles are, because you know why? It's the principles to change people. Mm-hmm. That's the principle. Remember, it's if there is a way that can change. So the whole book, dude, when it starts about all of this false narrative about and all of the history and all of the research behind the narrative out there, and they just shatter it, mm-hmm. and then they cast the stones at and justify all of the failures, right? So like cast stones at your enemies, justify, and they kind of free you to accept that your current situation is not your fault. But what they do that is brilliant, and this is the most brilliant part of the whole book, is they talk about some real, like they always say, like, listen, you know, there is like this little section where they're like, you know, we all know that drinking does, and they go like through a couple of the things that it does over time, and that's probably like 3 minutes of the book. And he says, but if you go tell someone about that, it would never work, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, they would do this, they would do this, they would do this, and he's like, so that's not what you do, and that's not what this book is for. And all they do is really is they tell stories. But if your ass don't agree with that, you were in every one of those stories, right? Right. Every single one of them. And they say the reason why they want you drinking is because they want you to have awareness in that moment when you got that, because you're going to run into it, because all change starts with what? Awareness.
Right.
And so as you're just in the whole thing is that they use this analogy about a fly in a Venus fly trap, and that the fly never knows he's in the trap.
Right.
He never knows he's in the trap. And that the average alcoholic, this is the research, takes from 2 to 16 years. And it depends on lifestyle. Are they on the road? Financial, are did they lose a lot, or do they have a lot of money? You know?
Yeah.
And there's all of these things that can compress that time. And so you can have it all under control, but you can hit a period of your life where you, like, in the way that they use the thing that eats the Venus flytrap, they use the example of the way the leaves are designed, that the fly doesn't know that the gravity as the leaves are closing, that the nectar under its feet is pulling it closer in. It doesn't know that, and its escape route is shutting, right? And its wings might get tapped. And so it doesn't know that it's sliding down,
right?
You know, and where it's getting, it never feels that. And it talks about, like, you know, they say, and it uses just, dude, they break down what a habit is and what a habit isn't. And he's like, is eating a habit? And it's like, no. You eat to live. You have to eat. Now, you can eat bad, and you have a bad eating habit, but you have to eat, right? And they just break down these things. But what I learned, dude, I'm not saying it. Listen, I don't have any problem with anybody drinking. I can drink with the best of them. I don't judge nobody. Never haven't been. I think that's not the point. But if you want to learn how to change, what I took from it is that so much of the game is in your bullshit ass stories you're telling yourself. And if you don't be open and real, and you said it a second ago when you apologized, like, so many things can be solved with true love, caring. I mean, there's just so much that I see people and you see greatness in them. You're like, I was thinking about you today. Because I was trying to teach my son on the way to the deal. If my son came in here, he'd cry, because I try to get him to tell one of our coaches at play paintball. And so on the whole drive, I taught him 3 things. I asked him what is positivity, and he just sat there with his iPad. I said, put your iPad down for a second, son. What's positivity? I said there's every once in a while, Daddy's going to tell you something, and it might be like once a year, and you're going to remember it for the rest of your life. And this is going to be one of those drives. Can we put the iPad down? And he said, yeah. And he still had it, but he wasn't looking at it. He was just looking down the road. Yeah. And I said, so I'm going to tell you 3 things, and I need you to repeat them back to me. And I want you to remember these 3 things. He'll tell you when he gets back. You'll see he'll start. And I said, I asked him actually first. I said, what is attitude? And he just sat there like a deer in the headlights. I said, okay. I said, can you tell me what negativity is? And he says, it's bad. It's, he comes up, with this thing. And then I said, well, give me an example of negativity. And I bring out $2. And I said, negativity is, man, that's only $2. That's negativity. Positivity is, man, that's $2 more, and Daddy might give it to me.
Yep.
That's positivity. I said, now let's talk. So we got positivity. You're going to need 3 things to be successful. I'm telling you, son, do you know daddy don't know any of his friends from 3rd grade? Do you know daddy doesn't remember any of his teachers or his coaches? None of the stuff that you've learned up to this life. Right now, I don't even remember everything that so at some point, you're never going to remember all of this or where you are. At some point, do you want to be successful? And he didn't say no. I said, do you want to be able to do the things you want to do when you want to do them? Like right now, when you want to play your iPad, what if you couldn't have one? So we talked through that. So now we're getting on the bridge on the highway. He still ain't even looked at his iPad. He's just looking out the window like, what is going on here? I said, number 3, and I was thinking of you because I knew Jimmy was coming over, and part of Jimmy was, and I was like, what if we had, coaching our kids? I was thinking about the things that I would be passionate, because when I try to do this podcast with my son, I try to do my first podcast, Crew will come up here. He'll do a podcast with you, but you'll ask him a question and, he'll be like, bacon. He'll be like, what the hell? And he'll say something that just, you're like, all right, you ain't ready, And it's like, he ain't ready for this, but then I learned if I teach him beforehand, but if I like do a little class with them and then put him on, he crushes. Well, Cash ain't the same way. And I was like, who would they listen to? I said, if we could put Riggs, Cash, Crew, and Court, and have some discussions and teach. And so when he came over, did I teach Crew?
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember what I showed him? Showed him a hard drive. Right. So Woods walks in my house at 6 a.m. this morning. Crew had been up with me since 4 a.m. And he was sitting in a chair. So when I woke up, he was sitting in the chair, and I was like, I was wanting to teach him. And I said, you see what this is? And he was like, yeah, what is that? I said, this is a hard drive. I said, computers, they have brains just like ours, but the computer, its brain is limited in its size. So this is an extra brain. And I start explaining it to him. And, and then when Woods comes over, we're just sitting there randomly. And he's over there. It's like 8:30 now. I was like, hey, come here, tell Woods what this is. And he tells him. But I was testing him that if I gave him a piece of it, you know what I mean? And then I brought him back to it and introduced it to him. And so it was those 3 things. It was discipline, it was positivity, and it was having a good attitude. And the thing is what happens is, the truth is that all of us, every single one of us, have all been beyond the money we had, living on credit cards, all effing in with no freaking idea. Honestly, yeah. I mean, no freaking idea. When everybody else thinks on the outside, because we don't even know. Maybe we bet too big and we lost, right? Yeah. But we're there, and so now we're like, well,
yeah. Ready to go find some more money and do it again.
Right. And so that's, and it's because at some point we have to have discipline. We have to be able to, we have to start doing things different, and maybe change the game plan a little bit.
Yep.
We have to have a good attitude, because everyone around us doesn't know all the story. Right. And if we let everybody know, it's going to be a pity party.
Yeah. Right.
It'll be like, oh shit, he's going downhill. You can't let them know that yet. Yep. So you got to have discipline. You have to have that, and you got to be positive. And so it's to me, I know when I grew up, there was a buddy of mine's dad who used to always say, you have to get up one more time than you fall. And I really think that's the reason for people's success. And you were talking about your brother and your daughters. And to me, I don't know what kind of failure you have to have. I just know it's the meaning you give to failure.
Sure.
And if you give the meaning to failure, like us, like, shoot, man, we lost that. Let's, we drilled this. We drilled right here. We didn't hit a well. We drilled right here. We didn't hit a well. We drilled right here. We didn't hit a well. We drilled right here. We didn't hit a well, but we hit a well right here and shit. Got all our money back from the first 5 wells.
Right. And dude, you're so right, man. And I think that, just being transparent. I mean, and I want to read you guys.
Yeah.
This. I mean, it's a little long, but it's so good, man. You know the story about Granger Smith, country music artist?
No. Oh yeah, his daughter died in the pool.
His son
in the pool.
His son died. His 3-year-old son, I believe he's like 3 years old, fell in the pool and drowned.
Man.
Yeah.
While they're at home. So, I can't think of anything, sadder, right? That just tugs at your heart and soul. But he has this picture of him. He posted on Valentine's Day, right? And I think it's really easy and for country artists, celebrities, people, entrepreneurs, big, successful people, right? On this, right? On our phones or on social media. People are like, man, that must be easy, right? Man, they got it so good, right? Or, but the reality is, and I would venture to say that the most successful and famous people that I know, they live in their own prison that they've kind of created for them. And some of them are the most unhappiest people I've ever met in my life. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And they look like they have it all, right? And because that's what we put out, like, Facebook, Instagram, it's a highlight reel of all the good shit, right?
Right.
Like nobody's out there putting out the hard shit, right? Or the truth. So he posted this the other day, and I'm just gonna read it for you. It's this picture of him and his wife with a video camera, right? Behind it. Everybody see that? Everybody see this? See this? And it says, it's not real. This is what you see, a couple seemingly in love, living the fairy tale story draped in the sunset sky with a blue wood plank porch. White antique rocking chair, barefoot, sun-kissed hair, and summer tan skin. A couple without a care in the world because love has them so consumed, or has so consumed them. Oh, yeah. And there's the camera dude and another guy holding a bounce board for perfect light. There's a slew of other characters behind that making damn sure the fairy tale looks believable. It's okay. It's my job, and I'm used to it. It's part of what I do in the lens of the camera to sell a song or a lifestyle or a brand. But just because it's for sale doesn't mean it's 100% real. At some level, you, the reader of this post, will only see the side we allow you to see at the time. That's how humans work. Anyone that's ever chosen a family photo according to the least crooked of their crooked smiles knows what I mean, right? So it's what I see, two people in a storm, hanging on to God for the truth and guidance like a lone fence post in a ravaging wind. I see a girl hurting, drawing on unimaginable strength just to continue with necessary motherly duties, clinging to a Bible like it's a raft, hurting through an unknown sea. I see a man savagely battling a relentless demon, shielded by faith and masking the crippling weakness brought on by his deep shame, his failure as a father. But we're still in love, stronger than ever before. But it feels different in its evolution now. It's not the fairy tale, but it's vulnerability that fuels the fire. The very essence of what makes us human, bounded by integrity and truth, but still fundamentally flawed. That makes our love mature. It's always sweet to see a young couple exchanging vows and rings, but it's truly special when you see an old couple holding hands on the sidewalk. Because you know the peaks and the valleys they've climbed together, the storms they've weathered, the mature love that's endured. That is the real fairy tale. I guess I just want to say that today is our 10-year wedding anniversary. And I love Amber Smith a whole bunch. And it will take more than till death do us part. Think about that. Man. Like, dude, that, like, you don't see celebrities and people in the limelight being that transparent and real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, his son died, dude. And think about the guilt. Right. Think about right now if we're sitting and your son walked out the back door, fell in the pool, and drowned. Like, for me, dude, I don't know if I could live. If that, I like, man, I just don't know. Like if something happened to one of my kids and I could have stopped it, or, I mean, dude, I just, and he calls himself out. Like he said, I'm living with this demon, shamed by, my failure as a father. Right. And, it's those kind of like, transparent moments that I believe, the ones like we're having right now. It's not all, it's not all great and, flower gardens and fairy tales and in any of our lives. Like we all have our own problems. We all have our own demons. We all have the shit that we need to get better at, right? And I think until, you know, we kind of remove that social, you know, mask and you know, people are transparent and real, like that's how we're going to really get people to grow, right? Because right now people are all looking at it and saying, yeah, well, that guy, sure, of course he can make relationships with, you know, celebrities and all that. Hell, he's got all the money in the world to do them, take them out and entertain them, whatever. No. Guess how many celebrities I started out knowing? 0. Right? I've spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars building my network. And that's why it's the most valuable thing that I own and possess, right? My relationships, you know, and that is exactly, they are the reason that I am where I am today, right? I failed at a lot of them. You know, I've made mistakes. We all do. But I think, you know, that constant drive just to be, you know, transparent, be passionate about getting back up and not beating yourself up over failure, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like to some people, failure is fatal, right? Like my little brother, I'll pick on him again.
What do you mean by that?
So some people, they let failure be fatal, right? In their dream, they let them kill. It's like a dream killer, right?
Yeah.
Like a, you know, and some people look at failure as a catapult, right? Like I look at, like I'm a guy, y'all know me. I mean, let's get real here. I'm a guy that I'll do just about anything one time. Okay. It's not going to kill me or hurt me, you know, outside of like, you know, drug, I mean, in my business, like I will try anything once. I've become a master of failure. Right.
Right.
And that's the only reason that I've come into success is because you have to master failure. Not only mastering it from like the lesson. See, most people look at a failure and it's fatal because they don't learn the lesson. Right. I try to fail because I know that that's just going to get me a step closer.
You're looking for the lesson.
I'm looking for failure because I know I'm going to learn. It's that, you know, because we're always almost right there, right? So it's like, man, I'm gonna just stack the deck so high up against myself, right? You know, that like I'm trying to fail almost. Right. I'm going as hard as I can, as fast as I can, and I want to fail as hard and as fast as I can, right? Yeah. Because, you know, the last thing that you want to do is prolong that failure, right? Like, you know, they say, you know, fail fast and fail forward. Right? Yeah. And I think that's really the thing that most people are like, they don't take chances or they don't take risks because they're scared. They're so scared to fail. They're so scared. I don't care. Like, that's why I'll put $100,000 on it. I don't care. If I lose it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go again. Yeah. I'm going to go again. And I'm going to go again. Because eventually I'm going to win. Right? Yeah. Not always in blackjack, but in life and in business, you know, like, I mean, this is that
didn't work like that. Right.
No, it didn't. Yeah, no. Well, so I'll tell you this, like in just a couple months ago, I was with Jason Aldean on tour in Las Vegas. Right. Yeah. And, you know, we've hung out 10 times, but we weren't like, I don't have his phone number. Right. We weren't like, he wasn't calling me over to, you know, to the house to kick it or, you know what I mean? And, this, you know, when my buddy John Purdue, DJ Silver, invited us up, he's like, man, come on out. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna do some gambling, whatever. Well, the night after his first show, we all, you know, Chuck Wicks and Silver called me and like, hey man, come over here and gamble. We're all back here in this little private room at the back of MGM, and it's John, it's Chuck, it's Jason Aldean, and it's a guy named Brian O'Connell. Who's the CEO of Live Nation, okay? And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 maybe. We sit back there and we just, I mean, they're gambling. I'm over here like, you know, I don't want to look like a P word, so, you know, I'm over here and I'm betting the most on the table. I'm the poorest dude by far at that table, okay? And I'm betting the most, okay? And I'm losing the most. I mean, I sat down there and literally lost, I think I lost like $125,000. Okay. And so much to the point that so did they. Okay. And they didn't have markers. Okay. Guess who had the money stash? Right. I knew like, so they were borrowing money from me, the poorest dude at the table. Right. So I gave Jason, I don't know how much, probably 25 grand. He ran out of money. He wanted to go up to, go get it at the cage or go to the room or whatever. And it's like, when I looked at it, I left for the weekend, and it was a 3-day run there in Vegas. I left the weekend, and my wife was, she was pretty pissed. Like this is the first time she sit there and watched me lose that much money. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, what are you so mad about? She's like, I'm mad because you lost $125,000. Like, you're out of your mind. You're insane. I said, but how much would it cost anybody else to earn Jason Aldean's relationship and phone number and possibly do business ventures? I said, I don't look at it like that. I didn't lose because I earned a relationship. Now I've got his number in my phone. Now, he invites us out to dinner now that opened the door for me because I earned his trust and his likeness. You know what I mean? Like, I had the opportunity to do that. And sometimes you got to put yourself in positions to where, shit, dude, you might risk it all, right?
Yeah.
But, I think that most people would never in a million years do that, right?
No.
Never.
And,
and most people would look at it like, oh, I don't care who you're friends with, buddy. That's 125 grand. You're a dumbass, right? But I knew that I had to, because this is one thing I do know about celebrities and people. They want, just like we do. What do we want? We want to have relationships with people that are like us, right? That we think are, that are successful, that are good people, right? That,
make us better.
Yeah. That are going to elevate us, right? We don't want to be hanging out with the poor dummies, right? Like, so think about them, right? So think about what their opportunity circle looks like, right? Their circle of opportunity in relationships. Right. So they want to know, they're never going to give somebody the time of day unless they think that they're like them. Like it's an equal partnership. Like they're going to get out as much of a relationship as that they're putting in.
They don't want to be the smartest guy in the room.
No. So, for
a lot of times they want help with entrepreneurship, business,
absolutely.
They want to get around people that understand business
absolutely.
Outside of their core business because they want to diversify their revenue because maybe they know that maybe they don't feel confident that their next album will be a hit.
Right. So what did I have to do? I had to match their bets, right? Would I have done that normally? No. But I sat there and over 2 days, me and Jason, just me and him, gambled together for 18 hours. Okay. When would I ever get the opportunity for him to get to know me like that? I would never be able to sit down.
If he would have sang you at least one song in between, like every hour.
Singing all kinds of songs.
Oh, then it would be worth it. That'd be expensive to have him sing to you for 18 hours. He probably charged you $100,000 to sing to you for 18 hours. Because the way that I looked, that's what I would have said to Kelly. I'd have been like, listen, honey, he was singing to me. I feel like, I could have paid him or gambled the money, but who else can have Jason Aldean fly to Vegas and sing to him at the poker table, private concert?
Right.
That's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
That shit was. You saved $900.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe more than that. But it's.
Think about it. Really, who could you call right now that sings country music and say, "Hey, meet me in Vegas and sing to me while I play blackjack"? And what would they charge?
And he wasn't like serenading me. You know what I mean? I think we're painting a picture. No, we were cursing a lot more than we were singing because we were losing our ass.
Who would want him to sing? It'd be more fun to talk to.
But the thing is like people look at like those opportunities in. People look at those opportunities like, oh, I'd never do that. But you got to come out with you got to put yourself in a position to win. You got to put yourself in a position to earn those relationships. You got to put yourself in a position to be liked and trusted by the people that you want to do life and business with, right? Yeah. And I don't. That's just my gift. That you call it black magic. I call it.
Isn't that how you met? What was that? What's the long haired guy's name? Benihana.
Benny. Oh,
Benny.
Steve
Oh,
Aoki.
Steve Aoki.
Steve Aoki.
Yeah.
I
mean, it was similar, right?
No. I was.
He wasn't gambling.
We gambled after his show.
Oh, okay.
And I did lend him $25,000 as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Paid me back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually
we
do.
all won. Yeah, we won that night.
Nice.
Yeah. But I think that obviously, man, like you guys are great at this too. It's being able to identify opportunity, like more than others, and take the risk in earning the relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And people, like, those things have changed my life.
Yeah.
Right. Like those relationships, like Gary LeVox's relationship. You know, I earned that relationship.
No.
I gave him at the end of the move, I said, hey man, why don't you just go ahead and write that check out to Tim Tebow Foundation. Me and you are both blessed. I knew he was a Christian, very godly man. Like, I knew that the Tebow Foundation was one of his favorite charities. And he looked at me like I was crazy. His wife started crying, dude. You know what I mean? And because guess what, dude? They aren't used to people giving to them like that. Never. What are successful people used to?
People taking.
Takers. All over, just trying to suck them dry. And that's what we look at. Like, every time, we make a new relationship, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Most people. And it's still to us. It's still, what do they want? What's their agenda? Right? What are they trying, you know what I mean? So think about these celebrities that have, lots to take, right?
Right.
And people take advantage of it, right? So they're very shielded and they have their guard up. They're not used to people giving to them.
Right.
Right? But a giver knows a giver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And because I gave in that moment, right? A year later, he said, hey man, hey, what do you, that created our friendship, right? Just because he knew that he liked me and he trusted me, and he knew that I was a giver, and he knew that, I was a man of God, and that, hopefully, I fooled him into thinking I was a really good person or something. No, I'm kidding. But it's those moments. I mean, a year later he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, what do you think about opening a couple of these black tie moving locations up in Ohio for my home, back in my home state?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I love it. Let's go." You know what I mean? And it's just like now those kind of.
How are those locations crushing?
Yeah,
I know y'all throw some big concerts up there.
Yeah, dude, we're throwing. We have one in Cleveland next month. So big.
Who we got?
Really?
You going?
Yeah, Albie will be there. I think Albie's sponsoring.
Where's the concert?
It's at House of Blues. We're gonna and dude, we're having like Wendell Mobley.
It's in March. It's in March.
I think it's in April.
I think I can go in April.
I think it's April.
I'm trying to get up there.
20th, somewhere around there. But it's those things that I think that that people just need to understand, man. You have to go out of your way to make people feel something, right? Yep. And most people don't go out of their way to do that. Most people are too worried about the profit and not the people. Yep. Right? And I think it's whenever you really, get out of that mindset and truly take on that giving up mentality. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, I'm gonna give up to grow up.
Get up to grow up.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And
at the top,
because those relationships are. What if I would? How much money would it cost me? Now that location, I do about $4 million a year now in those Ohio. It's only 2 years old. 2 years old. So, how much would that have cost me if I didn't give him that free $12,000 move? Right. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Yep. How much would that have cost me? Most people will look at it and go like, "Oh, how much did that? Why would you do it? That cost you some?" Well, no, it would have cost me a relationship. Which would have then cost me, it would cost me a deep relationship, right? And then inevitably millions of dollars by not doing that, So
but that wasn't but you didn't expect anything.
No expectations.
No.
And I think that's why people are motivated. Like, it's almost like by obligation. They feel like when you do something for somebody that moves them, right? Then, like they almost feel obligated to do something that moves you.
Right.
Reciprocity.
Yeah.
That's reciprocity.
Yeah.
You feel obligated.
Yeah. Obligated.
Right.
You're right. And you want to.
Right.
Because somebody's added value to your life or done something that touched you in a way that you want to, you're looking for opportunities. Like, let's say we go out to dinner tonight and you're like, man, like I know for a fact, this is what y'all will try to, one of y'all will try to get the waiter and give him your card or something. You're looking for ways to give back to me because I've taken you out to dinner, before in the past or whatever. Right. But you think about that. And
I just go to the Cowboy Club and I'm not allowed to pay.
This doesn't work with Mike. He's probably not going to pick up the tab.
Maybe he will after now.
Right.
Maybe after today.
Yeah. Well, I hit him with the
bathroom clothes.
What is that called? The credit card Russian roulette.
Oh, yeah.
And then slip your card out.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. It's a good move. Love it.
No, dude, you always drop that fire, that gold. I would say that the truth is that what you're saying is true, and I do agree. It's relationships and it's what you give. And to be honest with you, it's not always money. It's sometimes, some people it's time. And and
that's because think about it, dude. I can't give these like the big relationships.
Yeah,
they don't need my money or want my money. No, you have to be creative.
Yeah,
about the time that you give and the ways that you give.
Yeah,
right. Because money's not going to buy that relationship. Those relationships, right? They don't give a shit about your money, right? They give a shit about who you are and how you can impact their life.
My biggest takeaway from you, Dustin, is really the experience. I really do feel like, when I'm with you, I really do feel like you are making an effort to create an experience.
100%.
And I believe that that's at your core. It's probably one of my biggest takeaways. We've all got this kind of like our, we got like our little inner circle of folks, and everybody's kind of got some superpowers.
Yeah.
Right. I really feel like that's your superpower, man. And the cool thing about it, dude, is, it comes from a place of love. And I think that that's at the core. I think that is what makes it successful. Because you are a good dude and you do truly care.
Yep.
I think, if it, and when you said, I don't keep score. I think that that's the important thing, because if you're trying to like execute this as a strategy, like, hey man, I'm gonna go hit the black magic on this, okay, and you're calculated, and you are literally keeping score, you're gonna fail.
Absolutely.
Not authentic.
You're right.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that a lot of people, most people keep score, right? And they always want to give last, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to give first and last, and often.
Well, think about it. That's the way society's made up. Now we think different because we're entrepreneurs, been forced to play a different ball game. But like, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's probably 95% of people out there. It's like, hey, I go to work and then you pay me for my time.
Absolutely.
And even a lot of times disconnected from even a result. Like, buddy, I put my time in, you're gonna pay me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's like, if you have that type of mindset, and it comes to even just from an understanding of it's just investing.
Sure.
There's only two things that you can invest. You can invest time and you can invest money. Those are the only really resources that you have to be able to invest.
And love.
Yeah. You're investing. You're investing time into meaningful relationships. Yep. Right?
Right.
That's the investment vehicle, is relationships. Right. And it's powerful, man. It's powerful. It always comes back to the principles, man. The principles are just true across everything. And it's just amazing to see, you and all of the different businesses that you're in, us and the businesses that we're all in, it's a common code.
Right.
That everybody lives by. And I think about the people that are listening to this podcast and that, might be at some point in their entrepreneurial journey. I hope that they're picking up those pieces. They're picking up those code. They're seeking it. If they're listening to it, they probably are seeking.
Yeah.
Just like we were seeking. Absolutely. Just like I'm still seeking. Yep. I'm listening to my podcast. I'm reading the book.
Yep.
Trying to decode it.
You're right, man. And I think that, a lot of people, we always go like, well, dude, just go add value. Like, just go add value. But that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they don't understand how to add value. And, you know, it's different with every person, right? You have to look for ways, you know, to move somebody, right, into a relationship. It's almost like, you know, like an intimate dating. Like, think about it, right? When you're going after a referral partner or, you know, affiliate or whatever, like, I am creating, you know, like this, you know, romantic, like, engagement, like, relationship, you know what I mean? That I'm studying you. Like, before I go into a meeting, but, you know, I tell my business development guys this all the time. I said, listen, you're going to go to a meeting, okay? And just blind. You don't know anything about them. So you know what I do before every meeting that I meet with somebody? I go and I study their Facebook. I study their interest. I study their likes. I study their family. I study their, you know, their passions, right? I know so much about that person before I say one word to them or meet them in person because I studied them.
Right.
Right. Like, I didn't go to college, but I went to 14 schools in 12 years. I got a master's in people. Right. Trust me. Right. And that's all that's all I could do. Right. I had to make the most of what I had. And, you know, I think that, you know, you have to, you know, break down those people, what they're passionate about, what they love, you know, and find that common ground and understand how to add value to that person, because it's different with everybody. Everybody, right? So, you know, most people are just like, oh, I'll just go do this and buy that guy lunch, and I'll take him to the same place. I'm gonna take all these people to the same place.
Yeah, well, a little system.
Yeah, right. and they put everybody in that one category, and they treat them all the same. They try to add value the same way to everybody, right? And it's just, you can't do that. You got to dissect. You know, you got to dissect the person and understand, you know, it's not doing what you love. It's understanding what they love and are passionate about and what moves them. And, you know, that's how you add true value, and that's how you move people.
Heck yeah.
You know?
Heck yeah. People, so we got the 3 S's of success.
Yep.
Serve. See if Wood's got one.
Oh, I already know. It starts with selling. Then you got to serve.
But you got to sell. You got to sell. You also got to sell your. You got to sell
yourself and the people around you. You can't sell the people around you.
You got to make them levitate.
You got a problem.
Make them levitate.
Michael are really good at that.
Yep. Selling, serving, and solving.
There we go. The 3 S's, Black Magic, here on the Get Money Now podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you want to spend more time learning how to make money now or make money in the future, make sure you join our Facebook group at joingetmoneynow.com. It'll take you to the Facebook group. Just hit join now. You'll get accepted in. And like you study French, the best way to study French is how, Woods?
Go to France.
There you
French
go.
kiss.
There you go. Total immersion. There you go. Total immersion. If you want to learn how to make money, if you want to learn how to get more clients, not always chase them, but also attract them, go join the group. Get Money Now. Join getmoneynow.com. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Dustin Black, Jay Kinder.
Thank you guys for having me.
Woods
really appreciate
Davis.
you guys.
See you, brother.
Love you and appreciate you.
And Jimmy on the camera over here. Switch.
Jimmy on the mic.
Jimmy
on the spot, right?
Thanks for checking out the Get Money Now podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, you're really going to enjoy our Facebook community. You can become a part of the group by going to joingetmoneynow.com. And also, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can be notified of all the new episodes.